Okay, so far you're doing great at the walk. I have no idea how you're keeping this horse so clean though. It looks amazing. But every time you go from this pole to this pole, he paces right here. So I want you to be aware of that anything going downhill is making him a little pacey. He's fine around the other part of it. So what I would do is when you have a downhill part, if you notice that he's pacing, which he's not right now, his legs are separated here. They're still very separated here. Still good. But you'll see once he gets over this pole and starts going downhill, he's starting to swing his legs together on that side. It's kind of step pace, but it's still going towards pace. So I would put another pole right there in between those two poles, and that should help him from going into a pace over there. So this is very good. You got a nice trot out of him. It doesn't need to be fast, so this is perfectly fine. He's keeping the same rhythm, and once he's trotting, he's not trying to pace at all over there. So this trotting for him over poles will help square him up. So this is a really good exercise, and you're doing a great job keeping the same rhythm and everything with him. And steering to the poles is extremely difficult. People don't understand that until they try it. So you're doing a phenomenal job. So you're doing good this direction. I didn't watch the other video yet. So the only thing you could, this is just his trail walk. So you could start working him at a flat walk instead of the trail walk, because you're doing really well with him. And he now understands what he's supposed to do, which would just be a faster walk. Now you're into your trot, but you've been steering him well. And we want, enough energy that he's moving forward, but we also don't want to all of a sudden convert him to a very forward horse if, you like how quiet he is. So I'm always careful how much I get after them if the person still wants that horse to be quiet. But otherwise, he's trotting all the poles. He's not pacing in between. So all this trotting is going to help us to get him a little bit more squared up, and it should help us to get that fox trot in time. But your lunging is excellent. Now, if he does cut and go away from the poles, which he did on the other turnaround, if he does that, you just swing the whip overhand, kind of like that way. So you're creating energy towards him if he's cutting, and then just make sure if he cuts, don't quit after that. Make him go around and do all the poles again. And when he goes through the center and does them, then you want to give him a break. But overall, everything was good. That's the only comment I would have. This might be more of your flat walk. I have to look back and look at your notes. And I would just walk out a little bit more, so you're closer to getting him to the pole. On this side, you did well over there. And just anytime he's cutting in, just kind of swing that whip overhand towards him. And you might even have to swing it towards him and hit him in the butt or hit him in the side to make sure he stays out. Some of the horses, when they're dull, they also have a high pain tolerance. So even if you swing it overhand, they ignore you. So if he does, then you might have to do it a little bit harder. So here you're doing his slow trail walk, but it looks like you're trying to create some energy. Here you come. So you're kind of, pumping a little bit, and you're pumping with your hands to get him to go. If you want to walk faster and he's not responding, then I would start tapping him with your stick more, so you don't start getting a bad habit with your body since he's not moving very fast. So you can walk this slow to start if you like it, or you're going to be riding with slow people, then it's a fine thing to do. But if you don't like it and you're not going to be riding with slow people, then you can start making him walk out more. And just immediately when you squeeze with those calf, if he doesn't respond, start tapping with that stick until you get the amount of energy you want. And he's doing pretty good keeping his legs separated, except when you're here, and I think you told me that goes downhill there. There he does get more lateral and kind of step pacey, even though he's still at a walk. You're sitting up very pretty. Your shoulders are back over your hips, over your heels. The only thing I'd do is just bring that stirrup a little bit more to the ball of your foot. You don't want it too far back on your foot that it could ever get stuck. And if it was me, I would make him walk faster, because I hate walking that slow. But that's up to you. So again, if you like the speed, then it's fine. If you don't and you want to walk faster, then I would kind of alternate your legs, push left, then right, then left, then right. And I would start tapping him a little bit more with that stick. And if he's not responding, start doing it harder and harder and harder and start waking him up. If you hit him and you hit him, you know, hard because he's not moving and he trots off or paces off, let him do it, because you want to first make sure he knows the forward cue. So let him go a couple of steps, 2 or 3 steps, then slow him down and try to get him back into, you know, a faster walk. But first we got to make sure that they know that that cue means forward. Now in this direction, that must be going uphill because his legs are pretty separated there. And when you were walking the other direction, that's where he was starting to get step pacey. But this is a little bit more energetic walk. So I like that better than that really so slow walk. But right in that area, your arena, in this direction, he gets a little pacey here. When you go the other direction, when you're going that way, he gets pacey over there. So in any of those areas, that's where I would tend to make circles or do lateral work like the serpentine and the leg yield, or put more poles in those areas. So when you go that direction, you can take them over poles. So the other thing you could do is set up cones where he's pacey too, because then you can do serpentine around the cones and it gives you something to focus on. And the same thing, you can circle around cones because it gives you a center point to focus on it as well. So he's doing fine. He's just really slow and kind of lazy. So we want to create more energy. And then with your arena work, I'll see if it's in your other video, but I would do a lot more circles. You could spiral the circle in, spiral it out, lots of bending exercises. So the serpentine going back and forth, and then to leg yield. And I have that written down, how to leg yield. And I also have it in videos too. So if you don't have that and you don't know how, I can send it to you. But that would make a big difference. But him just going back and forth, he's just lazy. So some of the times he's okay. And he's doing a good job going over the poles. But now both of you guys are so much better that we can start pushing it a little bit more and start creating more energy and asking him to do more with his body. So more bending, more circles, more serpentines, more leg yields. Because him just going around, then he ends up starting to go more towards the pace again. So you are getting much closer to the speed of the flat walk, and I'll see if you actually get there. Sorry, the background noise is from the neighbors. So it's much better, but I would get him to bend more. So I'd use more of that left rein towards your left hip and more of your left leg into his side to get more arc in his body, because he's not bending that much and he's kind of leaning in, and that bend is going to help him separate his legs more. So I would say you're close to the speed. I would still like you a little faster, and this part you might not like. But I would carry your dressage whip in your inside hand, your left hand, because it'll help him not to cut in. And then you're trying to drive him forward from that inside leg. This is kind of dressage movement. So you're learning dressage at the same time you're learning gaited. So push him more, tap him more, and get more bend. So he keeps a little curve in his neck and he keeps his nose tilted slightly to the inside. If you watch that outside rein, your right rein, as you come around, I'm going to go back so you can see it. You're going to see a little flop in that rein. So your inside rein's not bad, but put more pressure on that and then hold this one out and bend your right elbow more, and that will give you more contact on that outside rein. I'm going to go back again. Because by doing that, what you're trying to do is you're trying to bend him with your inside rein. So every time you use that inside rein, I always use my inside leg. And what I do is squeeze and release on that inside rein. Because if you just hold it, the horse just leans on it and they fall in more. So you squeeze and release on that inside rein. And as you do that, every time you do, at the same exact time, you press with that left leg or your left spur if he's not listening. And what you're trying to do is show him when you touch that rein that he's supposed to curve his body and not lean in. But what you have to do with the outside rein is keep more support. So keep a little bit more bend in your right elbow. You have opened the rein, so you're doing that correctly. Just a little bit more bend. in that elbow will give you more contact, because wherever you're holding the horse, that is what they're going to lean on. And we're trying to get him to carry his body weight. Good, I finally stopped it. You want his body weight out, not in. Horses are just going to lean in like an airplane. So we have to teach him how to carry us. So we want to bend him more, turn his nose more to the inside so you can see the corner of his left eye. You should see a curve on the left side of his neck. And then this rein, next time you send a video, I shouldn't see any loop in that rein. It should be a straight rein going right back because you're supporting him so much. So the only thing you have to do is just bend that elbow just a little bit more, and that will keep a little bit more support on that outside rein, and that will help him from falling in. So it might not make sense now, but in time that concept will make sense. Okay. So now you're going the other direction. That outside rein was pretty good. You did keep more support on it. And now you're just starting with the slow walk, so I'm going to scan ahead. So now when you go this direction to the right, then I would carry that stick in your right hand, which you have. So now that you're getting more comfortable with this stick, I would always carry it on your inside hand, which will be your right hand in this direction and your left hand in the other direction, to help him so he doesn't cut in, and it'll help you drive him forward with that inside leg because you're going to back it up with that stick. So your flat walk's not bad. It definitely is a flat walk. It's just a little bit on the slower side. So if we could get 1 mile per hour, maybe 2 miles per hour faster, you would have it. You are so close. This direction's better. You do support him more with that outside rein. I don't see it flopping as much, but he still needs a little bit more bend, although it's better this direction. And every horse has a good direction and a bad direction, just like we do. So again, you might be riding him better because this is your good direction, or maybe it's his good direction. But he is bending more than he bends to the other way of going, and you're keeping a good rhythm. That's the good thing. You're keeping a good rhythm. He's nice and relaxed. His back and neck is relaxed. We just got to get him to go a little bit faster and hold that bend. But again, in this direction, you're supporting more with that outside rein, and it's not getting as floppy, so he's not cutting in as much. So it got a little floppy there, but really nothing compared to the way you were going the other direction. So you definitely are getting more speed out of him, and you're definitely building the strength, and you're getting him more square going. He's not as pacey as he was. So all of those things are really good. Now you can add more poles if you want. You could add another pole here and another pole there and another pole there and another pole there. So it ends up with 8 poles. That'll strengthen him more. So that would be perfectly fine, because if you're, every time you're trying to get speed, if he otherwise paces when you're going faster than this, and those poles aren't helping enough, then yes, more poles would help. And then also the more you're bending him and kind of driving him with that inside leg, that will also make a big difference too. So right here, you actually hit a good speed. So right about there. Okay, and that would have been your flat walk, and then he slowed right back down. But he did have this speed, so you are getting very close to getting it. Right here, he's slower, but when you get to this pole, you did a pretty good flat walk. So see that? That's much better. You had the head shake and everything. So it's just keeping him moving and keeping those legs separated. But I think you're really doing an excellent job. You're going to get there. And you've made such improvements since we started this. So it's just pushing him forward, keeping the bend, keeping the support on that outside rein, and keeping him motivated. So what I would do is, if you have problems getting him moving, he's not moving, what I would do in the beginning when you come in and you start riding him, sorry, the neighbors again, is ask him to go faster. And when he doesn't go, kind of wallop him a little bit with that stick and just have him go forward. Don't worry about the gait. Just let him pace, trot, canter, whatever he does. You just want him to go forward. And I usually associate it with a cluck. So I would push him forward with my legs. When he doesn't go, I would do this. I would cluck twice, and then I would hit him. If he's dull, kind of hit him a little bit hard, and then harder and harder until he kind of jumps forward and goes pretty fast. And then let him go a couple of steps. Again, don't worry about your gait. And then bring him back to a walk or a stop and reward him. Tell him he's a good boy. Give him a little treat, either of those things, so he understands that's the right thing. And then try it again. And every time you cluck, really get after him. So then he will start associating the cluck with you getting after him, so he knows he really needs to move and he can't ignore that cluck. Then after you do that, maybe 5 or 10 minutes just getting after him, it should be clear to him that when you make that noise, he needs to go. So then come in here, try to do your flat walk, and then press him with your legs. And when he doesn't go, cluck, and he'll probably kind of shoot forward in the beginning. And then let him go a step or two, but then you'll slow him down just a little bit, and then you'll have enough energy to get that flat walk. But you might have to do that over and over again, okay? So we got to get his go button a little bit faster, do lots of the lateral work, the circles, the serpentine, and the leg yield. And again, you can add pulls more as you're going around the arena in the down spots. Get more bend to him around your circle, and you're going to get there. You almost have this flat walk. I expect on the next video, I'm probably going to see it and say you're doing an awesome job.